Hey, Canucks fans. This fan base is absolutely divided on this controversy, on this rift, what the Canucks should do. What do you think the Vancouver Canucks should do with all this drama that's surrounding Pettersson and JT Miller? Let's hit the intro and we're going to get right into it. Let's go, Canucks. Let's talk about the controversy. Hey everyone, welcome to Kempner Canucks. My name is RevTrev and we're diving in. We're diving in, everyone. And so we're going to start it by this poll. I have started this poll on YouTube. I couldn't figure out how to do it on Facebook. So here we are. Here. Oh, wrong one. My bad. Okay, my bad. Pick the wrong one. Okay, I need to get out of that one. My bad. Please forgive me. Okay. Going to go to this poll right here. Go to YouTube and find this poll under Kempner Canucks. Post your things in here, okay? If you were Canucks management, what would you do, okay? Trade Elias Pettersson, trade JT Miller. I couldn't find a pitcher quick enough, okay, for anything, so I got Quinn Hughes in there. Trade both Miller and Petey. I'm done. Or keep them both and get healthy. Just post it in there. Click on one, whatever ones. I mean, this is going to be an interesting poll. I've seen tons of these polls already, so it's craziness. It's craziness. So post in the comments right now as well. Go to YouTube, find that, vote on that. Also post in the comments what you think the Vancouver Canucks should do. And this is crazy because the fan base, it's like, it feels like it's politically charged, doesn't it? Like, it's almost like, you go to family dinner. Don't you dare say trade Pettersson, or don't you dare you say trade JT Miller. I mean, there might be a fist fight at home, right? Like the fans are so passionate about this, and I get it. I totally get it. They're frustrated with this conversation. If they can't coexist, right? Like, what should we do? As many of you know, I've made lots of videos on this. I've done a can't coexist video. I've done a video called Changing Our Mentality. I talked about possibly trading Pettersson. I've done a video called Should Vancouver Trade JT Miller to the Rangers? Then I just made a video called Vancouver and New York Trade Scenarios with the Noah Dobson news. And then we land here tonight. Fans are divided. So I want to know what you think. Post it in the live chat. Post it in the comments later, everyone. This is absolutely nuts how divided this fan base is. So we're going to dive into this conversation. Now, we know that it is much easier to trade a guy who's worth $8 million than it is to trade a guy who's worth 11.6. A lot of people say there's no way you can trade Pettersson. That contract's too difficult. Listen. Teams can find a way. Teams will find a way if it means obtaining a superstar. The other thing that people keep saying is you can't trade Pettersson because he's 26 years old. And that's true. You have a guy who's been a 102-point player and you're going to trade him? Are you crazy? Are you nuts? Are you insane? Well, maybe not. Because if you look at it, he had 102 points that one season. Then last season, he started out hot. Like, he was great, and then he was terrible. For his standards, terrible. He still ended with 89 points. I mean, that's That's amazing. That's amazing. But the drop off was so massive. It's like, what if this is the Pettersson we have now? The guy who's not confident, the guy who's struggling. Like Alvin basically said in that interview that said like he opened the door for the possibility of the trade, even though he may have been joking, smirking, whatever he's saying. Well, Rutherford, you never know with Rutherford. He'll do anything. Like, I would say that anything's possible. But he was basically saying, we don't want to trade this guy. We want him to do what's right and best for this organization. You know what I mean? So, but he did say he's not handling the pressure well. He's basically not mature enough, and he's not producing. Like, this is what the general manager of the Vancouver Canucks is saying about, quote unquote, our star player. Now, I think that Quinn Hughes is the best player on our team, and it's not close. Okay. But it's sure nice to have a JT Miller and a Elias Pettersson on the squad as well. Absolutely on the squad. It's nice to see, right? Absolutely nice to see. But the problem is they're both not playing well this season, and that is killing us. You want to talk about what's wrong with Vancouver Canucks? Let's first talk about that there's been massive injuries to our stars. In fact, in my last video, I talked about with the chat is that there is no other team that has had major injuries to their stars like the Vancouver Canucks. I know Colorado was littered with injuries, but those injuries did not include Makar, Rantanen, and McKinnon. Guys who've been injured on Vancouver: Pettersson, Miller, and then Miller took a leave of absence, Hughes, Hronek, Demko. Now we got some of our role players with Dakota. Forberg got hurt tonight. I mean, it's just the list goes on and on and on and on. Oh, and Besser. I forgot Besser was hurt this year. Like, we have been riddled with injuries, absolutely riddled with injuries. So here we are. Here we are, guys, girls. This is what's happening. This is wild. This is absolutely wild to think about. But part of that is Pettersson and Miller have not played well. They have not played well. Now, is it due to injuries? Is it due to mental stuff that's going on? Is it the rift that's happening? We know that these guys don't get along perfectly. But listen, you don't need to be a BFF to play well in the NHL. Every team has rifts. Every team has conflict of interest. Every team, every coworker, all that kind of stuff. I mean, you can have personality conflicts. You have to learn how to get along, right? But some people just don't and won't get along. Now, I found it very interesting when they talked to Pettersson regarding this conversation that they were like, you know what, man? I don't want to talk about that. There's nothing. You guys are blowing this out of proportion. But then you've got the Richardson interview saying, when I was there, I told him you need a layoff on Pettersson. He's not going to take this well. Then you've got people who are pro Pettersson and pro Miller, and it is divided. It is divided. Now, you know where I stand on this. I'm a JT Miller backer. People want to use these terms, toxic and a cancer. Come on. Maybe. But doesn't toxic sometimes mean that the guy's really passionate, wants to win, and he calls people on their stuff? I mean, tonight against the Montreal Canadiens, JT Miller just had 4 points, 2 goals, 2 assists, like 6 hits. I mean, that's the JT Miller. The thing about JT Miller is he plays playoff style hockey in the preseason and the regular season and in the postseason. Those guys don't grow on trees. Those guys don't, you know what I mean? Like, you trade for those guys. You try to get those guys. You draft those kind of guys. You don't trade those guys away. They're rare. But the thing is like, hey, everyone, he's 31 years old. He's making $8 million. How many more years of good hockey is he going to be playing? Well, that's a good question. That's a really good question. We don't have the answer to it. But like, Marchand's played well all the way, like late 30s. Crosby's played great. I mean, I guess I shouldn't compare him to Crosby, okay? But Crosby's at like 36, 37. He's playing great. Ovechkin's playing great. I mean, these are superstars of superstars. But Marchand, let's use Marchand as the example. Marchand he's amazing. He playing at this level still at this day. Good. He's a good hockey player. It doesn't matter what you think of him personally. That guy can play hockey. You know, the Matthew Tkachuks of the world, the Brady Tkachuks of the world, brothers, those are the guys you're trying to acquire. Those teams are not. I mean, Calgary didn't want to give up Matthew Tkachuk. The only reason they did is because he's like, I want out of Calgary. And that's tragic for that franchise. Now, you know me, I'm not upset 1 second about that franchise giving up Tkachuk because, I mean, he was hard to play against. He was crazy. He's super good. And plus, I'm the #1 Calgary Flames hater. Anyways. So you got that. But then the Pettersson side is this. It's absolutely this. What if this is the best hockey we've ever seen Pettersson play or will play? $11.6 million, everyone. There's a no-trade clause for JT Miller. There's a no-trade clause that's coming up with Pettersson as well. That doesn't kick in until next year because of his age. This is the time. If you're going to trade him, right now is the time. Now, you can trade him anytime as long as he's okay with it. But, I mean, I don't know if you can trade JT Miller. Like, he's like, I don't want to go anywhere. It's like, hey, you want to go to Columbus? No. It's like, I want to play in Canada. This is the other thing. The Vancouver Canucks believe in both these players. Okay? At the end of the day, they believe in both these players. Absolutely believe in them. That's why they offered them 8-year contracts for crazy amounts of money. Also, Pettersson and Miller both want to be here. People are like, oh, Pettersson wants out. Well, Miller wants out. No. Both of them, the multiple things that have been recorded saying that Pettersson and Miller have both not asked for a trade. This is what's crazy. But we are in a feeding frenzy. I'm telling you right now, you go on YouTube, you go on any social media platform, and you search this, it is not Vancouver Canucks news. It is national news. National Hockey League news, that is. Like, this is as big, maybe, as Justin Trudeau stepping down early from the Liberal Party news. I'm just kidding. It's big news in NHL land. Everybody I mean, we're talking thousands of views. Maybe this video gets 2,000, 5,000, 7,000 views because this is what people want to know about. Who should you trade? Now, I'll tell you my opinion. People have been asking me my opinion on this. I say keep them both. That is what the organization wants. That is what's going to happen, in my opinion. I mean, you're not going to get fair market value for these guys. We're going to trade one of them away, and the return you get, I'm telling you right now, the fan base is going to be mad. It's going to be mad. The goal is keep them both, let them play. All I care about is winning a Stanley Cup. I don't care if it's just with Pettersson, it's just with JT Miller. I'm okay. I think we can win the cup with these two guys. I think they can coexist. I think this rift was something that happened a long time ago. And even though they're not BFFs, I think they can make it work. But if you think about Pettersson's last game that we saw before he got hurt, San Jose Sharks, he scored 2 goals. I literally was at that game. Row 4 with my friend Wes. Okay. We saw him snipe on our end. 2 beautiful goals. When I watch him, I'm like, that is the Pettersson that I'm used to watching. The guy who shoots the puck, who doesn't just pass it. Now, I know that we can criticize Pettersson and people call him Bambi because he can't stay on his feet and all those kinds of things. Yeah, he's a smaller guy. He has a hard time. He does the reverse check thing that drives me nuts. But at the end of the day, he's super talented. He's an elite player. My thing is we keep them both. That's my thing. Now, some people in here have said Miller has an A, so he is an assistant captain. That's right. Other people are, I mean, the same guy, actually. Toymaker also says Put Miller and EP40 on a line together for a few months. Scoring will bring them close. Yeah, like put the Lotto line back together. Maybe that would work. I don't know. I mean, this is what we're talking about, right? But Brian is saying that we need to trade them both. Roberto says don't trade either Petey or Miller. Keep them both. They will fix the problem. Trade Höglander with a first and get a puck moving D-man. I mean, that's a possibility. Maybe. Brian says united we stand, divided we fall. Well, we're divided. We're divided, Brian. Roberto wants to trade Höglander first, Desharnais to get a D-man. I don't know who's going to take that deal, in all honesty. I'd trade Demko as a bundle before I trade them. Maybe that's a good point, Kelvin. Trade someone else. I mean, Demko's damaged goods right now. I don't know what you could get for him. I think just keep him as well. He's got another year of $5 million, so you would have to retain some of that salary. Miller is better and would be hard but it would be hard to move EP40's anchor contract. I think there's teams that would do it. I think there's teams that are doing it. I like Miller's style of play much better than Pettersson's, but they're two different guys. Here's the other thing that I wanted to mention is that, like, this is the guys, like, you're kind of hoping that it's like Crosby and Malkin, right? It's like Rantanen and McKinnon, you know, even though that's a center and a right winger. Like, it's something like that. Like, it's like two centers, like Malkin and Crosby. That's what you're trying to do, right? Have these two centers that are going to keep this team together for years to come. We'll be competing for years to come. That is the goal. The problem is they don't look like that. Their points for this year have been terrible. Do you move them now or do you wait? Okay, let's look at the poll. See if anyone's voted yet. Yeah, we have. We've got some people who voted. Okay. So right now, with how many votes? 14 votes so far. You can do this later. Trade Elias Pettersson, only 7%. Trade JT Miller, 14%. And then the other one is trade both Miller and Petey. I'm done. That's 7%. Same as just trade Petey. And then keep them both, get healthy. That's where we're at right now. It will change. It will change absolutely as the night goes on. It will change this week as people see this poll. Let's keep going in the comments because there's some really good comments here tonight. Dell, not divided. Keep both. Media needs to stir the pot. We will lose any trade with either player. Neither player wants to be traded. That's a good point. Nothing going right. The Canucks, I mean, we're in a playoff spot right now, Roberto. I don't know. Like, could be worse, eh? Like, talk to Chicago. Get back to me. Oh, you just think it's all a bunch of BS? It might be. It might be. Maybe they move a few guys like Bluger, Joshua, Heinen, Höglander to shake things up so everyone stops the Miller EP40 trade chatter. That's possible. David W's in the building. The rift is one of so many issues the Canucks have encountered this season. Yeah, we talked about the injuries. We didn't talk about the defensive issues. By the way, speaking of which, you know, when we talk about Miller or Crosby and Malkin, I talked about that. We always forget the MVP on this team is Quinn Hughes. He might be the MVP of the league, the Hart Trophy winner. That's how valuable he is. So it's like, we're still going to be okay as long as we have Quinn Hughes. Having Miller and Pettersson playing at their potential, this team is really hard to beat. Really hard to beat. Wow. Miller told Petey what to do or how to play. Big deal. I know. And really, they need to hold each other accountable, not just the coaches, right? Our core six is Demko, Hughes, Miller, Besser, Pettersson, Hronek. They have not been together on the ice once this season. Really? Yeah, you're right. You're right. Crazy, huh? Good point, Del. McDavid yells at teammates to dig the F in right now. Yeah, then the playoffs did EP40 get sad and complain if he was annoyed. I don't know, maybe. Maybe if it's in the finals, he wouldn't be complaining. You don't trade players like Petey or Miller. True. They're both among the best Canucks of all time. That's possible. We'll see how their careers end, but that's definitely possible. Roberto, what a downgrade on the back end from Zadorov and Cole to Forbert and Desharnais. Terrible to let Cole leave us as well as Zadorov. You know what's funny is they tried to keep Zadorov. The fans wanted to move away from Cole, and now we're like hindsight 2020. Be careful what you wish for, right, Roberto? So I don't know if Cole's the answer, but he was solid. Demko isn't a core no more. Glass legs, gets bumped. Now he has back spasms. He's had a lot of bad luck with injuries. I feel bad for him. Yeah, I hate playing against Marchand. Got to respect the skill and talent. He's also pretty honest and fun. He is. Him and Biznasty are hilarious together. McDavid is a captain. That's his job. Absolutely. A trade would set us back another decade. Possibly. Put Miller. Oh, yeah, we talked about that already. Dell, it's only big news because of what toxic Canadian media wants. No wonder players don't want to play in Canada. I think there's a lot of players that want to play in Canada. Zadorov was like, oh, I like playing here, right? Russ is back. I keep Petey if one has to be traded, but I think the Canucks will keep them both. Awesome. Berto says 10,000% Rev. Keep them both and fix the problem. Simon is here. Hey, Trev, so in your opinion, what do you think Vancouver should do in your opinion for a trade? In my I've done major trade videos already, but I'm all in on this one. Petey for Bedard. I know that the Blackhawks would never do that, but I'm in. I'm totally in on that. I would trade Petey for Brady Tkachuk, but there's that trade rumor for Noah Dobson. I would consider that. JT Miller. If I was going to trade, I wouldn't want to trade JT, but if I was going to trade JT Miller, I would want Lafreniere and Braden Schneider from the Rangers. I don't think the Rangers would do that. We'd also have to give something up as well. But the other option, guys, is that we don't even trade either one of those guys. And maybe the real trade is like, it's going to be Brock Besser. It's going to be Höglander. It's going to be someone else. But you're going to have to give up something to get something. So can you imagine if we could get Noah Dobson without giving it EP or Miller? That'd be awesome. So that's where I'm at. I mean, there's lots of people that I would trade them for, but you got to remember, like JT Miller with his no trade clause, he has all the cards, right? He has all the cards. And I don't think the Canucks are going to get fleeced anyways. Alvin and Rutherford are smart guys. Hey, Trev, would you try and bring back Zadorov? Was a fan favorite, good with the locker room, and he can fix the problem. Listen, I'm the biggest Zadorov fan there is for when it comes to Vancouver Canucks. But I'll tell you this right now, that ship has sailed. I would love to have him back. I don't know if he's worth $5 million times 6 years. I don't know. But I love him. I miss him. I think he would have helped us out a lot this season. I love his intimidation. I love his interviews. I love the way he played for us. He played the best hockey of his career in Vancouver. But I don't think we can try and trade him and bring him back. I think that ship has sailed, unfortunately. Pettersson for Dahlin, that will never happen. But I mean, it would be great. It would be great. Don't get me wrong. But he was a number 1 overall pick, guys. I don't think they would do that. I think Leckermacki is good with Besser and Miller. I like Petey with DeBrusque. I like that too. I really like that too. That's an awesome line. Those are 2 awesome lines, if you ask me, when they're playing to their potential. Miller hits, wins faceoffs, runs the PP with Hughes. Besser can't score without Miller. Miller fights and protects guys. JT has too many tools to trade. EP 40 has secondary assists and 5-point game versus bad teams. Toymaker, that's a great point. You know, I mean, let's just talk about that again. Okay, let's talk about like EP 40 against bad teams. Yeah, Pettersson didn't play well in the playoffs, guys. Maybe he was tending an injury. Well, he has to show up. I mean, Toronto fans are so frustrated with Marner and Matthews and Tavares in playoffs. You know, you get paid, you need it. You need to get it. Justin says, man, 11 million for the next 8 years. I just don't know how we don't pull the trigger on a deal to get out of the contract before it gets harder to trade. Justin, that's a great point. That's a great point, man. We should have won tonight's game, but at least we got a point out of. Yeah, absolutely. I just did a post-game show for the Montreal Canadiens. You can go check that out. But you're right. I'm glad we got a point, but we should have won that game. Angelo wants us to trade them both. That would be so hard to do. Like, think about that. It'd be so hard to do. I really hope Hughes signs 8 years for in 2027. Yeah, me too. Me too. He is the key. Canadian, good to see you. It's more of a media frenzy. Same with Rangers and Nashville. Not much else to talk about in the media. That's true. It's true. I mean, this has gotten overblown for sure. Hughes has said that. Pettersson has said that. Miller has said that. They've all come out and said this is way bigger than it's not a big issue in their locker room. But boy, oh boy, did the media pick up on it. And the fans, too. We're driving this. We're the ones watching it. We wouldn't be anywhere without Hughes. You're right. Smoked out MMA. Podkolzin, we should have kept. I mean, he's looking good in Edmonton, hey? But he was a healthy scratch, and I don't know. I like Podkolzin. I was hoping that he would pan out, but he didn't. Benning players need to go. Inherited, retooled time. So is that Pettersson? Well, dude, Benning players includes Hughes, so be careful what you wish for. Toymaker, you trade Miller, and it's like losing 2 players because without Miller, Brock can't score. Maybe. I think that him and Pettersson could coexist. Can you imagine DeBrusk, Pettersson, and Besser? Give them some time, give them some chemistry. I know they've done it this year and didn't really do great. Podkolzin on first line, Big Z on first pairing. Yikes. No thanks. On new teams. Oh, I didn't know that Podkolzin's playing on the first line. It's wild. I wonder if Besser at first and Hogs can get Dobson and Brock Nelson. That would be awesome. I think it's because management really feels like PD is special. He might be. EP40's best year is his rookie year, the year before he signed the $7 million bridge deal and before he signed the 11.6 deal. Money driven. Oh, there's a lot of guys. And Mogilny seemed to be that way too. Thank goodness Jeff Pettersson is not on this road trip, right? Interviewing all these people. That's awesome, man. Doug says, "Hey Trev, would you be in for trade PD for Tuck and Cousins?" No, I would not do that. I would do Tage Thompson and Bowen Byram for Pettersson, probably. But yeah. Jacob, good to have you here tonight. The mighty Egyptian. I love that. Benning players includes Miller too. Oof. That's so you want to trade Hughes, Miller, Pettersson? Didn't he draft Demko as well? I mean, yeah, he had some good things. Mike says trade Pettersson for an 84. Oh, that's awesome. Guys, girls, there's 119 people. This is the second stream I've done tonight. This is the second video I did back to back. I was in the Montreal post-game show. And I said, guys want to talk about it. I'm like, hey, I want to do a different video on this. What do you think? Why don't I do one right now? And people are like, yes. So we left. There was 140 something people in the stream, left, restarted this 15 minutes later, did this video right here that you're watching. Now we got 119 people in there. This is crazy. It's crazy. This is the hottest topic in the Canucks land. Hey, Trev, what would you like to see? Would you like to trade or go grab? I want them to stay and I want them to win the Stanley Cup. That's what I want them to do. But if one has to go, I understand why a lot of people say you have to keep Pettersson. He's younger. He's got way more years ahead of you. I also want to say, but what if those were his best years? What if those were his best years? I would keep Miller and try to rebuild, but then the youth movement's tough. The youth movement's tough. I see both sides to it. I see both sides. I can understand why people want to trade Miller because he might be a tough teammate. But at the same time, man, what he does on the ice, like tonight was a perfect example. I mean, we're talking 2 goals, 2 assists, 6 hits, +3. Without him, we would not have won tonight. Or, no, sorry, would not have gotten a point tonight. This team can't hold leads. They are a wild card team if they make the playoffs. They won't do much. If they miss the playoffs by a few points, we all know why. Yeah. Right now, that's what it looks like, but I think if we get healthy, we can make some noise. We can make the playoffs and make some noise. So trade Petey for a brand spanking new skate sharpener. Oh, no, got to get more than that. I would do Owen Power and Cousins for Petey. Wow, that's a bold statement. Would they do that, though? Owen Power. Yeah, Buffalo. I wonder if Buffalo would do that. What's with the Petey hate? I mean, well, after January last year, he was terrible. He was terrible in the playoffs. Then he started the year terrible. Then he played well when JT Miller wasn't here. Then Miller comes back and he goes on a 6-game pointless streak. Has 1 game against the San Jose Sharks where he scores 2 goals. Looks fantastic. Looks like back to himself. Gets hurt. That is what is with the Petey hate. Absolutely. Better than lazy. Come on. Listen, in the last year, the best forward we had is JT Miller. That's been the best player, the best forward that we've had. Hughes is the best player we've had, but I'm telling you right now, you hate Petey though. I'm not a fan of how he plays, but I hope that I want him to be successful. I want him to win a Stanley Cup in Vancouver. But there's a lot of things about his play that are hard for me to be okay with. I'm worried that he's peaked. That's what I'm worried. I'm worried that we get stuck with this $11.6 million contract. So you want to call me a hater? Go for it. Go for it. Absolutely. Call me a hater if you want. I don't think that's hating. I think that's a realistic, honest concern that I have. But I used to own a Pettersson jersey, sold it because I didn't think he was going to re-sign with Vancouver. Then he ended up signing 2 contracts. So I'm like, wow, I was surprised. I thought for sure he was gone. So I don't know if I would say there's been times where I've been super frustrated and a lot of times. Yeah. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I am. I just try to produce realistic, honest content and I tell you what I really think. So, well, and this is where I'm at. This is where I'm landing. Both should stay. The real problem on this team is bottom 4D. And health. Doug, really health has been the huge one. What I want is a healthy team. Then evaluate. I agree. I'm with you. Rogers Arena, ever need a pylon in the parking lot? Then they can go grab Pettersson. Wow. He's great defensively. That's another thing about Pettersson's really great. He can pass well. He can shoot well. And he can play great defense. That's the thing. Miller doesn't play as good defense as Pettersson. That's fact. This all stops once we have better decor. Yeah. The Miller talk stops. The Petey talk stops. Maybe time for Tocchet to go. He's a good coach. Don't get me wrong. But the coaching bump and this locker room likes new coaches. Yeah, I think it's too early, but you're entitled to your opinion. Nothing is perfect says that how sad is it that these Canucks collapses keep taking away from good news of our young stars. Leckerbacky had a goal and assist. Yeah, he looked really good tonight. You're right. Wild card team 2 seasons ago went to the Cup final. Mike, good point. Right? Miller got 2 empty nets tonight. I don't know. It wasn't tonight. Yeah. So last year. Okay. I don't know what that means. If we have enough fans with cash, we could travel to away arenas to chant "Let's go, P" to get him going. I know, and I just think if you need to chant him on to get him going, I don't know. Mike, I missed Zadorov a lot. That contract's so big, so long that I don't know if I'm out. But Boston wanted to do that, and good for them. But I miss him a lot. Zest says that they need to upgrade on defense, not major upgrades, but bet guys like Ian Cole, Luke Shen. I think we need to get guys that stabilize the blue line that shouldn't cost too much. That's a good point. Hard to believe JT was a third line center for the Lightning. Not really. Look at who they had. Braden Point and we're stacked. In a few years, that contract going to look deadly. Which one? The Pettersson one? Not going to lie, I didn't think we needed Hronek. Now I see we do. It's a big contract, too. I'm not sure if I'm a huge fan of it, but Miller gets hate for 3 shifts where he was flat-footed in the last few years and 2 to 3 incidents where he yelled at someone. It's kind of funny. I know. It's wild. I really hope we can catch fire and shock everyone. Big blockbuster trade, keep Miller and Petey, and then they show everyone and win the cup. Dude, you're speaking my love language right now. Just talking, though, I respect your opinion. Oh, yeah, no problem. I'm happy to talk about that. But if you're going to call me a hater of Petey, yeah, I guess I'm borderline that way. But I really do hope that he stays as a Canuck and wins a cup with us. That's my heart's desire, that we win a cup. Hronek is a big part of the team. I agree. Okay. Petey is a -3. It's -3 this year. That's brutal. Petey at a worst night is better than Millsy's worst night. I don't know. I just think both of them, I mean, they're bad. They're both bad on a bad night. So we're going to talk about who's worse on a worst night. I don't know. Jacob, that's kind of funny. Petey doesn't need to check. Doesn't need to check and take away the puck. He's like Datsuk but Walmart 18. Huh? Yeah. I don't know. I know he doesn't have to be JT Miller. I'm not saying he needs to do that. It's just that he's easy to knock over. That's the thing, right? Justin says that I said at the beginning of the year, if Hughes and Hronek missed time, we are fighting for a wild card. I mean, you nailed that. Got to have depth on D. Elving really messed up. Yep, looks like that. 9 OT losses, most in the league. Doug, you're right. If Nucks won those OT games, we'd be 4th in the league right now. We're closer to being a good team than most people realize. I love this. Great comment. It falls on our terrible bottom. Yeah. Calvin, not saying he's like Datsuk, just in the way that he takes the puck away. Yeah, I understand. That gets him going. Cap going up 11.6 gonna look good. I mean, look good. I don't know. Maybe if he plays good, Petey is going to be the next Louis Eriksson. Please, may that not be true. Millsy pouts and cries costs the game. I don't think so. Sedin's took a while to get on. A lot of people say that. I actually agree with Jacob. Miller tends to be a defensive liability on a bad night. Petey is rarely a defense. It's true. But, I mean, who's worse on a bad night? I don't know. Hey, good to see you. Welcome. How many of those OT games did we blow big leads? Lots. Louis Eriksson had 40 goals. No, he had 30 goals. And then he came to Vancouver and had 11. Last time I checked, Miller stepped away from the team. Petey didn't. Okay. So you're criticizing a guy who took a stress leave? I don't know. We're living in the, health check, mental health stage. I guess so. Very true, Drug. What do you think they're missing that is making them consistently lose in overtime? Roberto says, I totally agree. Rev, I think we need a shakeup, but not trading Miller or Petey. That's not the issue. We just need a shakeup at the back end. We'll be fine. I like that.
look deadly in years when most fans will be 6 feet under from the stress. That's a great point, Mike. Petey didn't take a lead because he was a little set. Oh, my goodness. $11. Yeah, exactly. On his own net. Making a bunch of money, leaves for like a month, watches his team struggle. Yeah, somewhere. No. Okay, you want to talk about this? Okay, so how about Pettersson getting $11.6 million and totally not producing? Going to the playoffs and totally not producing. Oh, that's okay. Oh, he didn't miss time, but he should have. If he's injured, take time away. Nope, continues to play. I don't even know if he's injured. He's the one who claimed it. The Canucks, bro, the Canucks medical staff didn't say, oh, yeah, he was hurt. You didn't see Talkett or Alvin saying, yeah, he was hurt. That's why it affected him. Nobody. The only person that said that was Pettersson. So I'm sorry, but you get paid, produced. End of story. We don't need excuses. It's like, so Miller goes and takes a leave of absence and says, I need to get my head right. I've got some things that are going on. There's some personal stuff going on in my life, my family. I don't know what's going on. Give the guy some time. But you're like, oh, but Pettersson's so much better because so he stayed and he struggled. Maybe Pettersson should have took some time off. How's that for a rant, Jacob? No one knows what. Yeah, exactly. Nobody knows. It's his own business. That's right. It's personal. Yeah, I just destroyed this thing. You'd rather Pettersson struggle instead of take a mental health break? He should have sat. That's how bad he was. He was a liability. Kevin Beachz said he's playing at a third line center level. He's supposed to be our number one center. Saying. The Golden Knights won the cup by keeping their captain on LTIR until the playoffs, and the city loves the guy. I don't know. Miller makes his wingers better. Besser, Stutt, and Petey needs good wingers to make him better. That is so true. Wayne Gretzky made his line mates better. Crosby makes his line mates better, right? McKinnon makes his line mates better. Now, Rantanen is stud, don't get me wrong. Kucherov makes his line mates better. Pettersson needs the right fit. That right there, Tony Maker, you nailed it. Doesn't matter. The reason? Makes a bunch of money. Still dipped. Come on, dude. Come on. That I can agree on with both players. Petey does need good players. Exactly. Stamkos needs Kucherov. Right, Justin? I agree with Jacob on that one. Miller needs a personal leave, which happens sometimes. I disagree with Jacob on that one. Miller needed a personal leave, which happens sometimes. Yeah. Anyways, everyone, I got to go to bed. It's 11:22 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you for those of you who have been in 2 videos tonight. This is a lot of me, but it's a great conversation. So before we go, I'm going to go one last time and see what is, let's just see what the poll is at. Okay. So this is what it was at. And now I'm going to refresh this. Okay. And 14% says trade Elias. 25 says trade JT Miller. Only 3% said both them. 36 votes, by the way. And then the fourth one is this: keep them both, get healthy. That's the end of the story. That's the end of the story. So, but boxing fans in here, and he says, please don't send JT Miller to the Rangers. We already had enough trouble in the locker room. All right, we won't do that. Sounds good. Thanks so much for coming by, everyone. Have a great night. And love that we have this conversation. Love the connection we're getting. Have a great day. And go Canucks, go.